One of the main defining characteristics of humans, and the reason why we were able to take over the world, despite the fact that we are objectively very weak, like we don't have these sharp claws, sharp teeth, our skin is wounded so easily. But the reason why we were still able to take over the world is our brain. In particular, it's our ability to create seemingly infinite tools to improve our capabilities and therefore improve our lives in every single way. And today I want to talk about tarot because I realize that it's one of those tools, and it's actually a very helpful one once you realize and decide to use it as such. I saw tarot the way Ariel in The Little Mermaid saw the fork and used it as a comb. And I say that in the sense that I knew about this tool, I knew about tarot, but I didn't even know it was a tool. And also, I didn't really understand its functionalities until recently. But now that I have, I use it pretty much daily in my life, and the improvements that I've seen in my mental, emotional, physical health were so great that I really wanted to come here and make a video for anybody who was kind of hesitant, kind of like looked at tarot from the corner of an eye, maybe felt some skepticism, because I definitely have in the video. I will show you how effective tarot can be, no matter how, to anyone, no matter how skeptical or spiritual you are. In truth, there are several psychological mechanisms that can be cited when you think of a tool like tarot. Some of them have a little bit more of a negative connotation. For example, confirmation bias, the fact that, oh, you see what you want to see. Or the Barnum/Forer effect, which is that, oh, you see vague situations and you always think that they apply specifically and personally to you. And those are very true, although I don't know if we do have to see it in a negative light. But the main psychological mechanism and psychological technique that I want to talk about when it comes to how to use tarot in a way that adds value to your life is called the projection technique. And one of the most famous examples of this technique that we've all seen in movies, etc., when we think of this technique is the I'm sorry for if I'm butchering the name, but it's the Rorschach test. I feel like I butchered that for sure, but it's the one with the ink blots. So they put some ink on the paper, they fold it into, it makes like this weird looking abstract figure, and they show it to different patients. Everybody's going to have a different interpretation of what they see. So that's the most famous example of a projection technique. And tarot is such a prime example of a perfect use of that technique. The images are vague enough that the interpretation you're going to have of each card is very open-ended, so that you can project your own true thoughts, desires, fears, opinions, intuitions, etc. And so in that sense, if you don't really believe in the fact that, oh, it's a message from above or whatever entity that is being channeled through the cards, you can tell yourself, okay, these cards, following the projective technique, these cards are not really telling me what to think. Rather, they reveal what is already salient in my mind. And when I was doing research on tarot, once I started getting really more interested into it to try to also resolve this inner conflict that I have, I realized that a lot of people explain that they themselves use tarot exactly in this way. They decide to use it as a tool for introspection, first and foremost, more so than a supernatural predictive tool. Because the thing is, now more than ever, especially with the internet, we are flooded with hundreds and thousands of opinions of different people on every single subject. Also, in addition to just like the sheer quantity of opinions that you hear, the more you admire or fear someone, the more their opinion is going to hold an emotional weight in you. And so in light of all of that, it can be really hard to know exactly what your opinion is, right? And to make matters worse, even when you do know what you want, at every moment where you have to make a life decision, there's always, in every option between option A, B, C, there's always a sacrifice. Like there's always pros and cons involving every single decision you're going to make. This is why using the projective technique through a tool such as tarot is so powerful, because it helps quiet the thousands of birds chirping in our head 24/7, like all the voices, all the opinions. We don't even know which one are our own. It helps it funnel it like that, and it helps bring forward the truth, which is your truth. And that is exactly what I have been doing lately. And I truly feel like I have unlocked a superpower, and I don't really regret, but I wish I had come across this earlier, even though I wasn't ready. Like, she had some growing and some healing to do. The two ways that I use tarot, the first one is just very occasional. Like, I do still watch the readings from time to time, but it's a very, like, depending on my mood, I'll watch often a white feather tarot reading. But honestly, every time I'm in the mood and every time I do click on a tarot reading, it is insane how accurately, and that's the Barnum Forer effect, but just how accurately it feels like it describes every time the situation, the exact situation that I'm in. But not only that, I think the true beauty of it as well is that, much like journaling, if you're used to like doing brain dumps and journaling, which I always recommend that to everyone. It is the cheapest and most powerful tool for you to just like get to know yourself and grow as a person, like, period. But much like journaling, the thing with tarot is that no matter how negative the situation is, even if the cards are telling you that you're really going through a difficult situation or that you're about to face some challenges, it always ends on a very optimistic, supportive note. And at the end of the day, what most of us need and don't have really as adults, and that's one of the biggest problems I think with society right now, is just someone who tells us regularly that we're going to be okay and that we got this and everything's going to be all right. Tarot, when it's between two people, like for example, when I'm watching a tarot reading on YouTube and I'm the receiver, it's such a beautiful collaborative effort. Because first of all, you can tell that the best tarot readers are people who are not only very empathetic, but who have amassed so much life experience and have gained so much wisdom through that it has helped them become so good at this craft, because there's no other way that they can systematically describe your situation in such vivid detail other than them going through the blood, sweat, and tears that is needed to even understand that type of situation. And I say it's a beautiful collaborative effort because it's like the tarot reader paints the beginning of a picture and then you come in and you fill in the missing pieces of the puzzle. Like, you put the final strokes of paint so that the picture is exactly you. Now, the second and honestly most life-changing way that I use tarot, and it's the reason why I decided to make this video, is to buy a tarot deck myself and do tarot on myself almost every night. Look at it, it's cat themed. The cards, every single card is amazing. I'm still learning, so I'm not going to do a reading yet, but I'm thinking of doing some, we'll see, on YouTube or another platform. But yeah, you'll see the cards. They make me so happy. But yeah, I started nightly tarot readings by myself, for myself, to myself, after doing the research and seeing this YouTube tarot reader recommend doing nightly readings to yourself as the best way to learn tarot. Per her recommendation, what I would do is just like shuffle the cards until one of them kind of like fell or stood out to me. And I would pull the card out, watch it, Google the card, and then the internet would tell me what the card would mean, what it represents, like the main themes. And I would use that to paint the picture of the day that I just had, how it summarizes the day that I had, how I'm supposed to truly understand what happened to me today, and how I should move on forward for tomorrow. Guys, I cannot stress how much this has helped and changed my life. First of all, in terms of the tangible benefits, it has made me so much more confident when it comes to my day-to-day decisions. Second of all, as crazy as it sounds, it makes me feel so much more seen and supported. Third of all, I feel like I'm just on top of things because it's kind of like a nightly check-in that a lot of us I didn't do it for my entire life. Like, you just don't feel like you need to do it, but taking the time to do it has such an impact on your life and your well-being and your discipline and your productivity and your focus. And last but not least, my sleep. Guys, the number of times I've had lifelong insomnia, and the number of times where you just go, and I talk about this in my previous video on silence, but you go to bed and you didn't take time to do like check-ins with yourself. So the moment you try to sleep, You ruminate, you have all these thoughts. But if you actually take time to do like a check-in by using a projective technique like tarot every single night, you go to bed, I fall asleep in a second now. I don't have anything to think about. I've already went over it and I feel good. Because as adults, we truly undermine and neglect the need for check-ins and pep talks regularly. Like we think, oh, we're adults, we don't need that. You need that even more than a child. Like you're living such a chaotic life with so many responsibilities. It is insane to not do it. Now, I would like to say that the way I describe tarot and the way I use tarot, that's just one way. Obviously, it's a little bit more non-spiritual, psychological way. And there are many tarot readers out there, amazing tarot readers who truly are tapped in and they have a very personal spiritual relationship, like actual relationship with their tarot deck. And they know the deep history of all the cards and how they interact with each other, etc. I respect the heck out of those people. I wish maybe one day I'll become one of those. But I believe that the slower you go, and I learned that the hard way also, but the slower you go, the more chances of success you have long term. But both options are valid. And that's why I wanted to make this video just more for the people who are kind of like me, which are like on the fence, but you're still watching, right? But there's a part of you that's like, oh, this is so woo-woo. But the truth is that obviously, and I've truly grown so much in that aspect, just like reconciling the spiritual and the scientific, we think they're so separate. The more research you do, and I did a whole video on that, but I've learned a lot more since. But if you like that type of topic, go check it out. But the more, obviously regarding tarot, spiritual you are, and the more you believe that the cards that were chosen when you shuffle are the ones that were meant to find you, to help you understand your situation and guide you, the better it's going to work. As a general rule regarding this whole spirituality thing, especially if you come from a very atheistic, secular, non-spiritual background, just know that like if there's something that you come across and it makes you feel good and it doesn't harm you or others, then it works. Then it's by definition effective. Even if you want to go the science route, because what is scientific? It means that it can be measured, right? Well, if you watch me after doing tarot, or sometimes I don't know why, but I'll watch on YouTube or TikTok like these people who do like energy healings, Reiki healings. I'll watch like a 10-minute video at night and they do like these things like, and they're telling you that they're like removing toxicity in you, whatever. I can't tell you that that's true, but the way it makes me feel, if you were to measure after a tarot reading on myself, after a tarot reading on YouTube, or after an energy healing, my cortisol level, meaning my stress, and then my serotonin level and my oxytocin, depending on the video, you would see that it actually has a really positive effect on my health and my hormones. In that sense, it works. But yes, the more belief you add into it and the more faith and just whimsy and magic you choose to believe in, which I've really let myself do recently, the bigger and better the effects. And lastly, because I feel like this whole video will resonate the most with people who are a little bit too hyper analytical with these things, which I tend to be, don't shame yourself for being so skeptical. That is a part of you that is just trying to protect you, but actually it's doing so in a way that is shaming you, which is never healthy. And also it's doing so as from a place of fear. Like it doesn't want you to get your hopes up, but science has shown that we are so wired to think negatively that actually brainwashing yourself with super delusional positive messages all the time and adding a little bit of magic and whimsy is not only beneficial, but crucial if you actually want to increase your chances of success and happiness exponentially. So yeah, that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye.